It is Lucas back once again with the live wire. This time I'm talking to Elias from the Florida new metalers, Nonpoint. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing, Lucas?
Very, very well, my friend. This is a crazy interview for me. I've been working with Livewire now for about two or a couple of years. But I've only been doing interviews in the last maybe 2 years. And this moment right now is a full circle moment for me because I'm going to show you something. We've met a couple of times. The first time you were here was 2011. It's part of Soundwave. Um, I've got a photo of us from that show all the way back then. But something that happened that was one of the coolest moments of my life was 2015 when you guys came back out. You did Soundwave 2015. You did the show with Godsmack and Papa Roach,
Uh-huh.
and I was on the rail for that show, singing the words to every single Nonpoint song because that's how much I have loved this band for so long, right? I don't know if you remember, but the red shirt with the Nonpoint text T-shirt you guys used to have. I bought one of those at the show because it was hard to get Nonpoint merch in Australia. I wore it to Soundwave, went to Soundwave, caused was a 27-year-old menace in the pit. Let's be honest.
Awesome.
Um, and you guys were doing meet and greets, and I managed to pick a set list up from the show. I went over to the meet and greet. I just kind of stood in line and was just kind of hanging out. And you specifically singled me out in the line. Security come grab me. You had me get pulled to the front essentially. And we had a really good chat. And you were like, thank you so much for being like, he's like, we saw you on the railing. We would hope you would be here today. I just said, listen, I've just got a set list and I've just come for a couple of photos, but this is unreal. And you said, you reached down onto your belt loop and you gave me the
Oh,
pass.
wow.
Yeah. And you said, I typically don't give these away, but I feel like this is going to mean more to you than it is going to mean to me. And then you guys even signed the back of it.
That's amazing.
And ever since then, man, this has been an 11 year in the making meeting for me to kind of do this kind of thing. Never thought it would ever happen because I didn't wasn't sure if you guys would ever come back, but this is
Wow.
again fucking unreal, man.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Wow, it's what a blessing to be part of your story and a part of that journey, man. I'm so glad I gave you that pass because look at the experience that it just brought us, man. That was this is pretty amazing. The universe is a strange place, man. It really puts you I always say right exactly where you're supposed to be.
That's it. And the kind of like the mantra I sort of have with doing this is that ultimately I'm not a journalist. I'm a fan that gets to do cool shit. I get to talk to awesome bands that I've loved for 20 years, bands I've loved for 5 years. And this is just another awesome experience that I get to have with a musician who I've looked up to for so long. So I appreciate you taking the time out.
Equally awesome for me. Equally awesome for me. That's a great story. I love it. I love it. It's now one of my favorites.
Hell yeah, love it. So now that we've kind of got the big story out of the way, I've probably taken a couple of minutes there just to go through that. It's going to be your first tour back in Australia in 6 years with Head PE. We'll get
Yes.
more towards the tour, towards the back end of the interview, because there's some stuff about the band that I want to run through. There's a couple of selfish questions in here for me, as again, being
All
a
right.
long-term fan of the band.
Come on.
You guys have been rocking around Florida since 1997. The first
Mhm.
album, Statement, dropped in 2000, and then between 2000 and 2010, you guys had an insane run of albums with 6 albums in 10 years,
Yep.
including my favorite of the list, which is To the Pain, which I think might be a lot of people's. Um, Talk me through the early years of being inside the new metal scene during its development, and I hope you get the joke there.
Yeah, I did. Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, the I I I I say this about the genre during that time. It was very fast moving. It had a lot of attention. It shaped a certain part of the metal culture that still peppers itself in many subgenres of the metal genre. Um, it 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 was a very fun time. Labels were excited about a new wave of music. They were spending dollars to promote bands. Um, and people were coming to shows. It was that time that uh shows were packed. Um, pits were very energetic, and the actual genre had a lot of ties to fashion, a lot of ties to to other brands. It was that that resurgence of when brands were connecting with artists in a more a blanketed way than more so in other genres where it was just certain kinds of things were aimed at certain kinds of artists, where it seemed that in in uh in the new metal genre, everyone just wanted to be part of the genre. So, that's where things like Ozfest really thrived at that time, because, people were having a really, really good time, and the brands could see that. So they were very supportive of bands and festivals, and it was a fun time for sure.
For sure. For sure. Moving on, I guess then sort of the Recoil era. You guys had the In the Air Tonight cover, which I think was probably one of the band's most successful tracks, and it got featured on the Miami Vice movie in 2006. Did it feel awesome to kind of be a Florida band and have that track involved with that movie? Like that had to have been a bit
Yeah.
surreal.
Yeah. It was a surprise because it came so much later after the release of the record. Um, but but it was reminiscent of the one of the reasons that we did it, which being a band from South Florida, that song was really big in South Florida. Uh, so for us to take a swing at that song and it be so well received, and even to this day getting played on sports championships and commercial breaks and things like that, uh, for high energy or very dark style sport moments and things like that. That's been happening still to this day. So it's really cool. It's really cool to have had the opportunity to do that song, and it be so well received.
Yeah. I'm curious too. So you said that the song was kind of like sort of important to South Florida. Like I don't understand what you mean by that.
Well, Miami Vice was a really put a a a very glamorous side of South Florida on blast across the rest of the country. People, knew Miami just by, certain, scenes of certain, you know, movies here and there, and Miami and South Florida was still growing, to be
Mm.
honest. So, when when Miami Vice broke and it became so popular, that song was one of the songs that was replayed in many of the episodes. So
Oh,
yeah, it
there
was
you
it was
go.
a very popular song in the actual series. So for people to then hear it again in the new movie, and then to see it when it's the Miami Heat or the Miami Dolphins or the Marlins, and they're in the playoffs and something like that, or even other lots of other sports teams have used the song. So it's one of those songs that just has a vibe, you know.
For sure. I remember like I was in Miami a couple of years ago because I went on that Coheed and Cambria cruise out of Miami. And
Yeah,
I
how was
remember
that?
like it was unreal. But I remember when we went to what's the Margaritaville? We went to the one
Yeah.
just kind of on in Miami there, sort of near the I can't remember what it's called. It's like a big hotel. It's beautiful. And
Yeah, it's Hollywood Beach.
That's probably the one, yeah.
Yeah,
When
that's
when we were there, we were walking past. A couple of my friends were like, "Oh, there was a murder here a number of years ago," and I'm like, "What, really?" And they're like, "Yeah, the Bay Harbor Butcher," and I'm like, "Oh my God, that was the scene where they found the first body parts from Dexter," and I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm right here! Like this is surreal." So I kind of get
yes.
it. It's a different sort of same but different
Yeah, yeah. It's a big city vibe with that Caribbean backdrop. So
for
you
sure.
know, it's highly populated and it's definitely um it's definitely got its ups and downs, you know, for real.
For sure. Earlier I mentioned the album To the Pain, which again is my favorite record. That's the first time I really sort of became part of the 361, which I'm also part of on Facebook, and
Oh,
everyone should
awesome.
join.
Thank you for being a part.
Myself, like other kids, a lot of other kids back in the day, would just discovered the band through SmackDown versus Raw, the WWE video game,
Yes.
with Bullet in the name and Alive and Kicking featured on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice an influx of fans worldwide off the back of the exposure of that video game? Because I remember when
Oh,
that
oh
game
yeah.
came out, everyone was talking about like all the bands that were on it, but a big part of it was everyone was just like, who are these non-point guys, especially over here?
Yeah, yeah, it was it did boost a jump in our numbers for sure. You know, that I said this yesterday in an interview that it sold lots and lots of units. You know, that was during a time where you know you're moving physical units out there and you know with the popularity of things like Tony Hawk and you know that all of the sports and X Games, Madden and everything, soundtracks were a big deal. So you know when the WWE games came out and allowed people to you know customize their fighter and then also to customize their walkout music and stuff like that, that's when it really became super popular and people really dug it because they dug the vibe of the song and the lyrics. Really, it was awesome.
For, sh- for sure. Bullet with a Name was my walkout song in that game for the whole
Yeah.
time I had it.
That's usually the one. That's usually the one.
There's two songs on there on that particular album that I would love to shout out because I remember like when I bought like after the game came out, I went and bought the CD and I literally ran the CD into the dirt because there's two tracks on there that I love, which is Explain Yourself and the title track To the Pain. I think those songs on that album just absolutely rule.
Thank you.
But that is again an amazing record. And something else I then I want to also talk about too is that sort of in the early sound of the band too, something you guys also did, which I think is super interesting, is you kind of also had a bit of a crossover with more sort of like groovy sensibilities and a bit of groove metal. With obviously the popularity of bands like Lamb of God and Devil Driver, did you kind of see sort of what they were doing and what they were writing and trying to merge that into the new metal sound?
Uh, what with you're talking about with the EP stuff and the stuff as of late, or
More, I guess, I mean, as a whole, I guess, because like
yeah,
that's kind of been a consistent sort of sound within the band is that you guys were new metal for sure, but there was something else to the band that I felt like I got from bands like Devil Driver and stuff.
yeah. You know, I'll be honest with you that that has a lot to do with the mishmash of influences and interests of people like my drummer Rob, my guitar players. They definitely like a lot of the heavy stuff, and you know, I'm sure that them being inspired by a lot of the bands that obviously we listen to on you know and just enjoy uh uh listening to in that time before the show and you know pumping ourselves up or you know or just hanging out. um you know those guys all are metalheads, and you know there's always really different new styles of bands coming from every direction. um so you know if it bleeds into the band's writing, you know it's usually because it's something that you know we respect and we really like and you know we have fun performing. So it usually will fall into that non-point groove kind of formula that even if you go back as far as Statement, Songs like Back Up, songs like Endure, where there's just that head bob bounce that people really enjoy, about our shows and about our music. So, um, a lot of times it will lean very, very heavy because of, songs like, again, on the first record, we have songs like Hive that are really, really heavy and all over the place. Basically, they don't even that song doesn't even have a chorus, neither does Mind Trip. A lot of those songs were just songs of us just having fun from part to part to part to part. We really didn't care about verses or choruses or any of that stuff. So that will rear its ugly head from time to time when we're writing new music for sure.
For sure. And then you see a lot more of that kind of sound, like the more groove metally stuff in Miracle. Specifically too, you guys obviously had the Pantera cover for 5 minutes alone. Not only that, Chad Gray from Mudvayne was on that record, and like that album's just awesome. But there's a
Yeah.
track on there that is a bit different to the rest, which is Frontlines.
Yes.
Yeah, so you originally wrote that song for the US Armed Forces back in 2010. And then just again to sort of jump through the timeline a little bit, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. You guys reworked the track in 2020 due to COVID. Tell me why that was so important to do, because I love like the reasons why you did it. I just want to get it out there because I think it's cool.
Yeah, at the time, everybody was was really struggling to figure out, where their next steps were, either financially or, supporting themselves. And it was really just because, all of the turmoil of everybody trying to stay, healthy and not get sick. So, people were uh, you know, taking some chances and going out there and working where they know that they were going to be in harm's way more often than not. And the important front lines of the police and the firefighters also started slipping to grocery store attendants and workers and nurses and municipal, uh, uh, just people that were trying to keep grocery stores full and keep power running, and it was a scary time. And my wife was part of that group that was out there just trying to help stock shelves. So you know we were all at home. We all wanted to figure out the way that we could say thank you and use our platform, and we thought Frontlines and reworking that song was at the time the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, it's a great song too. I love it. I always have. It's just a really beautiful song.
Thank you, thank you.
All good. Um, Jumping into the 2010s, things got quieter for a bit. You guys, sorry, start it again. 2010s saw things get a bit quieter for you guys on the recording end. Not as many albums, but it kind of opened the world for you guys in terms of touring. Again, I mentioned 2011 Soundwave. You guys coming back out for 2015. There was a bit more sort of European touring and all that kind of stuff. Um, up until that point, you guys really hadn't been an international touring band. You'd done the odd tour here and there, but like being so deep into the career at that point, what did it feel to kind of get out into those markets for the first time and sort of embrace these fans you didn't really know that you had?
It was, whenever we travel overseas, it's always amazing. Um, we're doing it definitely more often now. We just came back from a 2-month run with Lacuna Coil, where we did the UE and the UK. Um, so it, you know, we've gotten a little bit more control of our uh, our business when it comes to pushing things more internationally. It wasn't always easy to convince teams. It wasn't always fiscally possible for us sometimes. But we've made those changes, so now we're getting back over and making sure that we are playing these places more often. And we've just come back, like I said, from the UK and the UE, after having been there uh, uh, the previous year. So we're definitely picking up again for sure.
For sure. For sure. And I love it. I'm so keen. Again, it's going to be no secret. I'm so keen for you guys to get back. Like
I,
I've
I
been I've been to all three tours, and I've met you guys, like I said, on two of them. So
yeah.
number four is just going to be unreal, and I can't wait. Last question about the albums. Obviously, between 2012 and now, you've released a couple records, but there's one specific album I'd love to talk about, which is the self-titled one. You mentioned in an interview at the time that album was feel like hitting a reset button for the band. It truly feels like it has done a big reset for the band, because that's also the addition where the addition of Rashid and Adam came in, who are still currently with the band, and you guys have sort of been a really tight unit ever since. Now that you're a few albums deep with them, how does it go back and reflecting on that first album together?
Um, it is. It's a, we were actually just talking about this, how the new members now, for the most part, when it comes to Rashid and Adam, they've been in the band longer than the original members were.
Yeah,
Even though Rob and I have been in since the beginning, they've now been in the band longer than Andy and Ken were in the band.
yeah,
So, um, you know, it feels the same. These guys all are hard workers. We all work towards making sure that um that we check all the boxes when it comes to the business of Nonpoint. We want to keep the music coming as long as people want a new record and want new music from us. Um and and it continues to be fun. We have fun while we do it. The chemistry on stage is only getting better. So, along with the show, celebrating these last anniversary shows, um, you know, playing a lot of our old favorites, and then, being able to do a lot of this new music and get excited about it again. It feels like Nonpoint. So, having them in, um, feels normal, which
for
which is
sure,
which is good, which is a
for
good thing.
sure. So then getting on to the tour, obviously. So 2026 will see your fourth time back to Australia. What does it mean to the band to come back after such a long absence?
It's always good because we know the fans there have, not only had they already been waiting a very long time, especially now with the absence of Soundwave, but our fans there are always very welcoming. They're an exciting bunch, always very kind. The local crews are always really hardworking and super professional. The venues are always really amazing. The beer's great, ice cold, bitter, like it's supposed to be. And it's usually good weather, so we're always happy to come back to Australia.
For sure. And you guys are going to be here in February, so you'll kind of be at the back end of summer too.
Yes, yes, it's slipping into fall, so maybe we'll start getting a little bit of that cool weather towards the end.
Hell yeah. Like I said as well, the tour is going to be with Head PE, and the last tour you guys did with them was so much fun. Is there anything different we can expect this time around with you and the guys?
This edition of having Jason along with us, and us doing these upcoming um uh anniversary shows just recently. We're going to bring some of those medleys into the show, so that way we can play some of those songs that people uh may have missed by not being able to catch those shows over in the States. So, I would say a lot of the old favorites, and we'll probably have new music too. So you might hear some new music as well.
Oh yes, can't wait. The show's also a two-band lineup, right? So I don't know if you guys are having like a local open or anything like that, but does that mean as well you guys might be getting like a longer set compared to what you would
I'm
normally play?
I believe we are getting a longer set, so we're definitely preparing for that. for sure.
Okay, sick. If you
Yeah,
can
more
throw To the
music.
Pain in,
As
you can throw
yeah,
To
as
the Pain
much.
in there, I will lose my mind.
Yeah. We might have to do that. We were just recently playing that one, so it's in one of the medleys. So I we'll yank that one out for you.
All right, legendary. In terms of set list, well, obviously with these medleys and stuff, like how do you kind of approach like a tour set list for Australia? Considering like again, your touring here is so infrequent, and sometimes you're touring with like multiple releases. You're going to be obviously touring with the two EPs because those are the last sort of new music you've had since being back. Is it going to be sort of like leaning a bit heavier towards that, or are you just going to go the full medley, go the full greatest hits kind of vibe?
We're gonna do a little bit of both. You know, we're definitely gonna do the ones that people always want to catch when they come see us live. But there's those live favorites that we like to uh pull out from time to time. With this anniversary stuff, definitely gonna have some of those in there for this show. We had a lot of fun playing them and bringing them back. And it's a bit of, it's familiar to our fans, but I would say 95% of them are going to be able to say that, half of the set is music that they have been waiting a very long time to hear. And never thought that they would catch. So we'll definitely be fitting a lot of surprises in there.
Hell yeah. You're making this every question you're like answering, you're making the show more hype for me. I'm so excited.
Good, good, good.
Last question. So with this tour as well, this is going to be the first time you guys are also hooting New Zealand.
Yes, yes, first time.
Yeah, yeah. So are you with that tour, I guess specifically, are you guys like looking to do more touristy things down there, or is it just
Oh,
kind
I'm
of you
gonna,
guys are
I'm
in doing
gonna,
shows and you're out?
I will have my Gandalf the Great robe on. I will have a walking stick. I will be traversing mountainsides and going down magical waterfalls. I'm gonna try to fly on an avatar banshee. I'll do every magical, whimsical backdrop thing possible in New Zealand because I hear that that is one of the most beautiful places on earth.
It is, and like if you get the time to kind of actually go through and tour it, there's some cool stuff you can do. Like there's glowworm caves up on the North Island. You've got this fjords down on the South Island as well. So there's like some really cool touristy stuff you can do as well. So
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
hell yeah. Well, I'll throw the full dates for the upcoming tour in the end card at the end of the video. But listen, man, again, this has been an incredible time and an incredible chat, and I cannot wait for you guys to get
It's good
back.
to see you for a thrice time, third time.
Thrice, that's it.
Yeah, thrice. That's right, Lucas. It's good to see you, man. I can't wait to see you when I head back there, and we'll make it a solid quattro for the
I
fans.
was gonna say Thrice is also one of my favorite bands as well, which is also
Yeah,
very
they're
funny.
one of my faves too. Yeah, that's good. We got a lot in common.